Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 23rd University of the Ryukyu's Mirai Kyoso Forum. It's wonderful to see all of you here today, both in person and online. And I really hope that this morning will be very inspiring and thought-provoking event. I'm Kinuko Yamazato. I'm associate professor at the University of the Ryukyu's, and I'm very pleased to serve your MC for today's event. Hai saigusuyo chuga nabira, wanne Yamazato Kinuko yaibing, yuta sarugutu onige sabira. Hi, as today's forum is hybrid event, please allow us to go over a few guidelines. Again, please note that this symposium is being recorded for future reference. We would like to ask you to refrain from any personal recording, photography, or audio or recording of the session. Additionally, any unauthorized use of materials such as screenshot, download, or reusing materials is strictly prohibited. And Q&A session will be held at the end of a keynote speech. So please state your name and affiliation when asking a question. For online participants, please feel free to submit your question through using Q&A button located at the end of the seminar screen. We will help you address these questions. For online participants, only the speakers and organizers will see your questions. They will not be visible to other participants due to time constraints, and not all questions may not be addressed. Thank you for your cooperation. Today, we're really honored to welcome President David Lassner, President of the University of Hawaii System, who will be delivering today's keynote speech. President Lassner has been an incredible supporter for our university and has played a key role in strengthening the relationship between University of Hawaii and University of the Ryukyu's. We're sincerely grateful for the invaluable contributions and are honored to have him with us today. His talk title, Islands Wisdom for Islands Sustainability, will guide us through the ways that islands community can contribute valuable insight to the global conversations on sustainability. Before we proceed, I would like to mention that today's event is co-hosted by University of the Ryukyu Mirai Kyouso Forum, organized by Regional Collaborations Promotion Division at the University of the Ryukyu's and the University of the Ryukyu's Inter-Island Sustainability Educational Program. The University of the Ryukyu's Mirai Kyoso Forum serves as a platform to foster meaningful exchanges and strengthen ties with the local community, aligning with the university's vision, designing a prosperous future society together with the community. The forum regularly invites speakers from both within and outside the communities, outside the universities, creating a unique space where Okinawa residents in Okinawa, students, faculty, and staff come together to bridge campus and local communities. And the Inter-Island Sustainability Educational Program began in 2003 last year with a 5 years grant from Japan's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, and Science and Technologies. It's under the Inter-University Exchange Program. Through this program, we are strengthening connection and developing a network between Okinawa, Taiwan, and Hawaii through students' educations and COIL, collaborative online international learning, to address the challenges that islands communities face today. The purpose of this program is to train students or help students be aware of critical issues related to sustainability in the Pacific Islands, such as clean energy, environmental protection, international relations, immigrations, poverty, tourism, welfare, and indigenous culture and language revitalization. We also hope that we hope to develop sustainable solutions through interdisciplinary collaborations and cross-cultural exchanges of our ideas. So through this collaborative effort among islands communities, universities, and local communities and partners, we hope today's event will become inspiring and meaningful experience for everyone involved. Thank you again for joining us today. Now, I would like to invite President of the University of the Ryukyus, Professor Mutsumi Nishida, to introduce today's keynote lecturer, President David Lassner.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. David Lassner, President of the University of Hawaii System. As you may know, the University of Hawaii and the University of the Ryukyus have enjoyed long-standing partnership fostered through years of active faculty and student exchange. I have had the pleasure of meeting with President Lassner every year. And today, it's my deep honor to welcome President Lassner, now dear friend, to this forum. Born in Connecticut, Dr. Lassner earned his bachelor's degree in economics with the highest honors and his master's in computer science from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. He later received a PhD in communication and information sciences from the University of Hawaii. Since 2013, Dr. Lassner has served as president of University of Hawaii System, which spans 10 campuses across 4 islands, including 2 universities and 7 community colleges. This extensive network is home to around 10,000 faculty and staff and nearly 50,000 students. Throughout his leadership, Dr. Lassner has championed the university's role as a catalyst for Hawaii's future, emphasizing sustainability, community well-being, and commitment to indigenous values. Our own University of the Ryukyus, founded in 1950, shares this commitment to island sustainability and community development. As a kind land-grant university, our mission is grounded in truth-seeking, peace, and community service, and we aspire to be a bridge of knowledge, in Japanese, chi no shinryo, fostering leaders for multicultural and peaceful societies. In 2015, we set forth a long-term vision for our university as a hub of knowledge and research in the Asia-Pacific region. The relationship between the University of Ryukyu and the University of Hawaii is a unique and meaningful one, shaped by our common dedication to sustainable island ecosystems. Our institutions serve not only as centers of academic excellence, but also as stewards of our natural and cultural environment. Through shared initiatives in marine science, environmental resilience, and student exchange programs, we aim to build a resilient island communities, combining traditional knowledge with innovative solutions for challenges of the future. As president and marine biologist, I'd like to emphasize our university's guiding concept of island wisdom. This concept serves as a model for sustainable living within limited resources, relevant for both Okinawa and Hawaii. It informs our approach to education, environmental resilience, and knowledge sharing across island communities. Island wisdom encompasses practices that preserve biodiversity and foster climate resilience and resource management, preparing our society for a sustainable future rooted in ecological and cultural heritage. Once again, I extend my deepest gratitude to everyone who contributed to this event's success. Yesterday's discussions highlighted the importance of collaboration among island communities, Okinawa, Hawaii, and Taiwan in addressing issues like renewable energy, environmental resilience, well-being, and societal coexistence. Our experts, educators, and most importantly, our students, our future leaders, have shown us a power of grassroots initiatives and traditional values in driving sustainable development. It is within this shared vision of interconnected island communities that I now invite Dr. Lassner to the stage. Please join in welcoming him.
Thank you very much, President Nishida. Please.
Thank you very much, President Nishida, Vice President Ishihara, honored guests. It is such a pleasure to be here. This is my second visit to Okinawa and my second visit to University of the Ryukyus. And earlier today, I had the very great pleasure, and I thank those of you who joined us, of an honor of receiving an honorary degree from the University of Ryukyus. That's my attire. But I think it really helped honor the connection between our universities. I have to say, I did not select the title knowing that this was the model of the University of the Ryukyus. I knew that I was joining a conference on sustainability. Island wisdom is something I'm very passionate about from my island. So I sent in the title, and nobody said anything to me. And then yesterday, when we met in the conference room in the morning, and I saw the motto of University of the Ryukyus, I said, this was meant to be this connection between us, and this opportunity for me to share some of my thoughts about something that I care deeply about. So my topic is just a subset. Island wisdom for island sustainability is a big piece, but not all of island wisdom for the world, for the future. And I applaud the University of the Ryukyus for adopting this. I think some of you, if you are married or you have close friends who finish your sentences, that's how I feel today here with our emphasis on island wisdom. There's really no topic more important for our future than sustainability, and that's why the project that highlighted students yesterday was so important and so impactful. And sustainability is particularly important for people of islands. Hawaii, like Okinawa's volcanic island, a high island, but when we look at our colleagues in the Pacific who are on low-lying atolls, they really see the impact as their islands are beginning to disappear. For the island I live on, Oahu, which is where the city of Honolulu is, we see sea level rise. Every year there's a change. Extreme weather conditions, shoreline inundation when we see king tides and high tides. It has impacts on our water systems and our sewage systems that were not designed for these conditions and more. And I think all of this is well known to all of you, so I won't dwell on that. One of our leading authorities on sea level rise, actually one of the leading authorities on sea level rise in the world, is a dean at our university, Dr. Chip Fletcher. And when he gives presentations about sea level rise, it is so depressing that everybody calls him Dr. Doom. And I have asked him, can't you end your talks with something positive and encouraging and upbeat? And his reply to me is always, David, optimism is not a strategy. So yesterday I had in this room the very great pleasure of listening to and learning from a number of Ryudai students who had spent time mostly in Hawaii. And when you see your home through someone else's eyes, you learn so much more that you don't see yourself because it's familiar to you each day. And the Island Sustainability Educational Program Symposium, I actually wrote a letter of support for that on the previous round without knowing how impactful it would really be. So it's really a pleasure to see those students. Mitigating and reversing the direction our planet is headed begins with acceptance that the path we're on is unsustainable. And that's really the point when Chip Fletcher gives his remarks, is to help convince people that we need to change. And that's all of us all around the world. We often refer to people who refuse to accept the clear evidence of climate change and its impacts. We call them climate deniers. And those are mostly people of the older generations, and it's very hard to change them. They often have economic and personal interests in many of the impactful activities that really contribute to climate change in a significant way. But our role in universities is to really help the next generation. We aren't the ones who will change corporate leaders, government leaders who are really refusing, but the impact we will have is on the future. And that's why it's so important for us to help educate our students and connect them to one another with shared values. And that's part of why I'm so honored to be here today. And I have to say, I'm not so naive as to believe that education is the complete solution. As we would say in mathematics or economics sometimes, education is necessary but not sufficient to solve the problems. But we have to be willing to act. And I can't help but notice that as we're here the day before a critical election in the US, that democracy is a part of this and the way societies make decisions. And again, this is where universities are so critical to the future with our civic education mission. And I won't say anything more about that. But I've lived for the last 47 years in Hawaii, which is the only island state in the US. And in that time, I have been able to see, much to my disappointment, shorelines have eroded. As I mentioned, our drainage systems have failed, flooding streets. We've had increases in the frequency of extreme rainstorms. I think the civil defense alert we had earlier was a reminder of how vulnerable we all are, because we didn't know if that was real or if it was an alert until we could look. We've had floodings of homes, neighborhoods, loss of life when dams have broken from overflows of extreme rain. Even our UH Manoa campus, where many of you have visited, we had tens of millions of dollars of damage from a freak flood caused by extreme rain in the back of the valley behind our campus. And of course, last year, Maui was struck by the devastating wildfires, the largest one of which utterly destroyed the famed and historic town of Lahaina and cost over 100 lives. That fire was fanned by a hurricane offshore, an unusual dry hurricane that caused very high winds, but it was fed by a terrain, the land that had been first decimated over more than a century by industrial agriculture, and then that land was left completely unmaintained when that plantation agriculture, ironically, plantations were the industry that first brought Uchinanchu to Hawaii almost 125 years ago. But when those plantations were no longer economically viable, profitable, and went out of business, they left that land unmaintained, and that's what burned and stimulated the fire that took out the entire town of Lahaina. Now, of course, those plantations have a mixed heritage for Hawaii. They did stimulate the economy. They did bring in not just the Uchinanchu, but many cultures that have contributed to the diverse society that we are today. But that did not end well, and it's a continuing problem for us. Now, this is not always how it was. And back to island wisdom. In earlier times, indigenous people understood how to live in great harmony with the environment. The land, the animals, the plants, the water system, and for island people like Hawaii and Okinawa, the oceans as well were part of our daily lives. And I don't want to glorify that everything was perfect in those days. In many places in the world, life was harsh. Lifespans were short. Child mortality was high. Injuries could not be addressed and often led to death. And there were people who lived under absolute rule, where kindness was not always the highest priority of those who were in charge. But there was an understanding of how to live in harmony with the planet. The era of European seafaring led to much more widespread global mobility, and the expansion of exploration and colonization went far beyond what was taking place earlier through land conquest alone. So that is an era that really began just 600 years ago. And in many cases, rich natural resources, including land and fertile land, were seen primarily as opportunities for extractive economic practices. Now, since I like to be fair, it is not clear that there was a great understanding 200, 300, 400 years ago outside of indigenous communities of the deep interconnectedness between the well-being of people and the well-being of the environment. I think that's something we have come to appreciate much later. In Hawaii, we often talk about this as a reciprocal relationship. Environmental protection is not a one-way street, just a responsibility of people to care for the environment. Within Hawaii, we talk about man cares for the planet cares for man. And this fits together. And if either side of that fails, the reciprocal relationship falls apart. And that is what underlies much of the thinking about circular economies and activities today, some of which were highlighted by the Ryudai students yesterday. But human mobility does not have to be destructive. And we can see that in the peopling of Polynesia, of which Hawaii is a part. Genetic studies suggest that several thousand years ago, the indigenous population of what is now Taiwan actually began long-distance voyaging in the Pacific. And the genetic, linguistic, archaeological evidence and theories change over time, but that evidence indicates that Samoa was probably the first of the Polynesian Isles to be settled, and that most Polynesian people have roots that grew out from there into New Zealand, Aotearoa, into what is now French Polynesia, and probably it is the migration from French Polynesian or the Marquesas that really brought people to Hawaii, which was one of the last of the Polynesian archipelagos to have been settled. And I want to digress, and it came up, it's not really much of a digression. It came up yesterday because it struck the students of Ryudai so much when they saw the impact in Hawaii of traditional voyaging. So the traditional voyagers of the Pacific had an amazing relationship to the environment. They were, without question, the best navigators in the world. Hundreds and thousands of years before Westerners were able to cross oceans effectively in their large industrial ships using compasses and sextants, Pacific Islanders were traversing the ocean in canoes made from local materials, using only their knowledge of the environment to navigate. And if you imagine crossing 2,500 miles, for example, Tahiti to Hawaii, with no instruments, these are very small targets to cross. And by the way, the Pacific Ocean is not as passive as the name Pacific would suggest. These were harsh conditions for them. But these double-hulled voyaging canoes that they built from local materials far dwarfed the capabilities that we saw much later from Magellan, Columbus, Vancouver, and Cook. It's a long story, and it's one well worth reading and best told by those who lived it firsthand. But the traditional navigation is a science, and it predates much of what Westerners think of as science. But the last master navigator of the Pacific was a Micronesian gentleman from the island of Satawal named Mau Piailug. And he agreed to teach a group of young Hawaiians the art of navigation as he understood it, because they had the passion to learn. He went outside the boundaries of traditional sharing to do that. And he's now gone, but his most prominent student is Nainoa Thompson, who now leads the Polynesian Voyaging Society in Hawaii, that is really responsible for ensuring that this knowledge is not lost to the world forever. And they are active in promulgating it, not just in Hawaii, but throughout the Pacific. So as Nainoa has shared with many, a navigator makes over 5,000 observations in a day. Those are observations of the ocean, the waves, the currents, the winds, the clouds, any birds, any sea life. And critically, at night, they use the heavens. Those early navigators were by far the best naked eye astronomers in the world, bar none. They understood why when you looked up, things would look different from day to day, week to week, season to season, in different places. And that knowledge led them to make something like 500 decisions a day, adjustment of sails, adjustment of course, to figure out where am I today and where am I going and how will I get there. And by any definition, this was advanced science. Observation, making decisions, observing the outcome of those decisions, and then making adjustments on the fly each day. This remarkable island wisdom enabled population migration throughout the Pacific. And they carried communities of people who brought food, plants, and animals necessary to live in harmony with the environment wherever they landed next. And sometimes they went from a high volcanic island to a low-lying coral atoll, but they understood they had to adapt, not just do it exactly the same way they did it where they came from, but figure out how to apply their island wisdom to the new environment.